Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the world of dentistry.
Uh-huh.
Specifically, we're going to be talking about something you've probably heard of but might not fully understand.
Yeah.
Crown and bridge work.
It's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, before we get too far, let me just introduce myself.
Mm-hmm.
I'm your host for today's deep dive, and I'm joined by
Hey, everyone.
an expert in field.
Excited to be here.
So our goal today is to give you a solid understanding of what this type of dental work entails. You know, why someone might need it, what the process looks like, all that good stuff.
Sounds good.
All right, so the source material that we're working from defines crown and bridge work as, quote, restoration of a damaged or missing tooth with a crown or bridge.
Makes sense.
So let's unpack that a little bit. What exactly are we talking about here? What is a crown and what is a bridge?
Sure. So think of a crown as kind of like a cap that covers a damaged tooth.
Okay.
It restores its shape, its strength, its appearance, and a bridge. A bridge is a structure that replaces missing teeth,
Okay.
and it's anchored to the adjacent teeth.
I see. So it's like literally bridging the gap.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like a bridge over a river, connecting 2 points.
Right. Okay. So that makes sense. But now I'm curious about the restoration aspect.
Yeah.
What kind of damage are we talking about here? What would lead someone to need a crown or a bridge?
Well, there are a lot of reasons. A tooth might be severely damaged by decay, or it might have had a root canal and needs some extra support. A tooth could be cracked or broken due to an injury.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And of course, missing teeth definitely need to be replaced for, both functional and aesthetic reasons.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of aesthetics, what are crowns and bridges made of?
Well, there are several options, and the best choice really depends on a few factors, like the location of the tooth, how important the aesthetics are, and of course, cost.
Okay.
Porcelain is a very popular choice, especially for front teeth, because it can be matched to the color of your natural teeth, and it looks very natural.
Yeah.
Ceramic is another option.
Okay.
It's strong, it's durable, and it's also very aesthetically pleasing.
And what about metal? I feel like I've heard of metal crowns.
Yeah, you're right. Metal is a good option for back teeth
Okay.
because it can withstand a lot of force from chewing. And sometimes we even combine metal and porcelain to get the best of both worlds.
Oh, interesting. So you get the strength of the metal and the look of porcelain.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So let's say I need a crown or a bridge. What's the process like? What can I expect?
Well, first you would need to have a consultation with a dentist.
Of course.
They would examine your teeth, take x-rays, and discuss your options with you.
Okay.
If you decide to go ahead with a crown or a bridge, the process usually involves a few appointments.
Oh, okay.
At the first appointment, the dentist will prepare the tooth by removing any decay and shaping it to accommodate the crown or bridge.
Okay.
Then they will take impressions of your teeth.
And those impressions are used to create a model, which is sent to a dental lab where the crown or bridge is custom made.
So it's like getting a tailored suit, but for your tooth.
Yeah, you could say that. It's very precise. And while you're waiting for the permanent crown or bridge to be made, you'll wear a temporary one.
Okay.
And then at the final appointment, the dentist will remove the temporary and cement the permanent restoration in place.
Gotcha.
And that's pretty much it.
It sounds like it's a pretty involved process.
It is, yeah. But it's worth it in the end.
Yeah.
Crown and bridge work can really make a big difference in your oral health and your quality of life.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really important point to emphasize. You know, it's not just about aesthetics.
Right?
It's about restoring your bite, your ability to speak clearly, and really just your overall oral health.
Exactly. When your teeth are healthy and functioning properly, it can have a positive impact on your whole body.
That's true. That's true. So any final thoughts on this before we wrap up?
Well, I just think it's amazing how far dental technology has come.
Yeah.
I mean, the materials are constantly evolving, the techniques are getting more sophisticated, and I'm just really excited to see what the future holds for restorative dentistry.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's a fascinating field.
It is.
Well, this has been a really insightful deep dive. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
It was my pleasure.
And thanks everyone for listening. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. All right. We're back with another deep dive. This time we're listening in on a chat between, well, a dentist and their patient.
A classic combo.
Exactly. And I got to say, this one, well, it really got me thinking about how much we can actually learn from these seemingly like everyday conversations. especially about our health.
It's funny, you're right. These little snippets, they can reveal a lot about, the dynamics between a patient and a healthcare professional, the way information gets shared, the whole experience, really.
Totally. And that's what we're here for today, to break down this dentist-patient interaction for you, to help you get the most out of it. Now, what specifically caught your attention in this snippet? Anything you were, particularly interested in?
Well, for me, what stands out is how this seemingly simple conversation actually touches on a whole bunch of important aspects of, good dental care, like understanding the basics of dental procedures, like what's actually involved, and then the whole idea of preventative care and something that we often overlook, patient empowerment.
Okay, so let's break that down, shall we? First, we hear the dentist explaining about a cavity and why it needs a filling. They make it sound, well, pretty straightforward. Take out the decay, fill the space. But even in this simple explanation, something kind of jumped out at me. It's like they're kind of setting the stage for preventative care right from the get-go.
Exactly. And it's subtle, but it's crucial. The dentist is saying, hey, we're taking care of this cavity now so you don't end up with a bigger problem later.
It's all about nipping it in the bud.
Exactly. Think of it this way, right? A small filling today could potentially save you from a root canal down the line, which, let's face it, no one wants to deal with that.
Oh, no, thank you.
Right. The dentist is subtly emphasizing that catching and treating these issues early can prevent much bigger, more complicated problems, and not to mention more expensive procedures later on.
It's kind of like car maintenance, isn't it? Like regular oil changes and checkups can prevent some major engine trouble down the road.
Perfect analogy.
And you know what else I picked up on? The dentist brings up anesthesia right away.
Yeah.
They're not just focused on the, technical stuff. They're also thinking about the patient's comfort throughout the entire process.
Which is huge. And I think sometimes we underestimate just how important that is. Anesthesia plays a really, really big role for a lot of people.
Oh, absolutely.
It basically numbs the area, so you literally don't feel anything during the procedure. It's usually given through a small injection, nothing to be scared of. And the dentist, a good dentist, they'll adjust the amount of anesthesia they give based on, how complex the filling is and your individual needs, obviously.
That makes sense.
Right. And this really helps minimize not just the pain, but also the anxiety that a lot of people feel about going to the dentist. It makes the whole experience so much more manageable.
Speaking of anxiety, I remember being absolutely terrified of dentists when I was a kid. So I can totally relate to that. And what's great here is that the patient actually speaks up and, asks for anesthesia.
That's right.
It shows they're actively participating in their own health care and not afraid to advocate for their comfort.
Absolutely. And I think, that highlights the importance of open communication between the patient and the dentist. The patient feels comfortable enough, empowered enough to voice their concerns, and the dentist, is clearly receptive to those concerns. That kind of collaboration, that back and forth, that's key to a really positive healthcare experience.
It makes you think about those times when maybe you haven't spoken up during a medical procedure, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that way? Like hesitated to say something?
Oh, absolutely. We've all been there. And what this conversation reminds us is that advocating for yourself, even in small ways, can make a huge difference. Not just in terms of your comfort, but in the overall outcome, really.
Okay.
And, it's not just about comfort. Communicating openly also allows you to, discuss different options with your dentist. Like when it comes to fillings, there are different materials that can be used.
Oh, right. Like there's amalgam, right, and composite.
Yeah. Yeah, you've got amalgam, composite, ceramic. Each one has its own, pros and cons in terms of how long it lasts, what it looks like, the cost. And a good dentist will help you choose the best material for your specific situation, your needs, and your preferences.
So to bring it all back, what are the key takeaways here for our listeners? It's about more than just a cavity and a filling, right?
Right. This snippet, this little conversation, it gives us a fantastic example of how preventative care, patient comfort, and open communication, how all these things come together to create a positive dental experience.
A good reminder that regular checkups and building a good relationship with your dentist are super important.
Couldn't agree more.
And, speaking of checkups, when is your last one? If it's been a while, maybe this is a little nudge you need to schedule one. Remember, early detection, it's your best friend when it comes to, well, your oral health.
And your overall health, really.
Exactly. So take care of those pearly whites, everyone, and we'll catch you on our next deep dive.
See you then.